So we're here in the back of South Hall at E3 2013 with Jack Matthews from Armature Studios, developers of, let me see if I can get all of this, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate.
Yes.
For 3DS and some other handheld system.
PS Vita.
That we don't care about. And Jack, could you tell our listeners and viewers some of the games you've worked on in the past?
I have worked on Metroid Prime 1, Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3, and my proudest moment, Heavy Metal Fact 2.
All right. And now you're working on this very exciting handheld Batman game that captures a lot of the presentation and also a lot of the gameplay features from the console Batman games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, that have become very popular. And it's sort of a companion game to Batman Arkham Origins, which is also coming out on Wii U and other consoles this fall. So could you tell us a little bit about some of those similarities between the handheld game and the console games, and also some of the differences?
Well, so for one thing, the handheld game takes place 3 months after the events of the console game. As to the similarities, a lot of the combat we've tried to keep similar. The bat suit is pretty much the same. Generally, yeah, it's a continuation of the storyline. For the differences, the main one is that we're in a 2.5D sort of presentation. The combat happens on that plane, and we've tried to keep the feeling of that combat the same in a 2.5D presentation.
I noticed one thing that seems to really set it apart from other 2D games, especially games that have a structural design somewhat similar to this one, is that Batman can't jump, which is very consistent with the console games, but it gives it quite an unusual feel. So he's a little bit slower in movement. He's heavier. He's bulkier. It's more combat focused, but at the same time, you're very mobile around the environment, but you're constantly using the grappling hook.
Yes.
And you're using even gliding. With the dynamic camera and the way that the camera is rotating and flipping, and you're looking for places in the background that you might be able to grapple to and completely change the plane that you're playing on, how do you incorporate a visual language into the design of the game to let the players know where they can and cannot go?
Well, luckily, for one thing, with the grapnel, whenever you can grapnel somewhere, there's a little circle and an R telling you can go there. The other thing is we really try to keep the gimmicky nature of the 3D plane stuff to a minimum. We teach the player early on in the game that the perspective can and does change, but we really do it to punctuate certain moments, not just willy-nilly. So it's pretty apparent a lot of the time where you can and can't go. There's always railings that you can grapple to. There's always very obvious ledges. We try to keep a similar color theme. We put lights where you need to be going. So we try to draw the eye to those places.
And the demo that we just got hands-on time with was primarily outside in Gotham City. But you were telling me that most of the game takes place in Blackgate, the prison. Mm-hmm. Once you get inside of there, can you tell me about how that environment is sort of put together and how Batman moves through it? Is it sort of free exploration? Is it more of a gated progress where you have to find keys or upgrades, new abilities, something like that in order to get to the next area? How linear or non-linear is it?
One of the distinguishing things that we're doing once you get into the prison is that, there'll be an upgrade path and Batman gets gadgets, but we're going to allow it so that you can beat all 3 of the bosses in any order. And depending on the order in which you beat the bosses, it can actually change different parts of the game. It can change enemy layouts. It can change, if you defeat one boss, then maybe his thugs might have spread out more through the prison, that sort of thing. So it's still going to be a pretty non-linear experience. We don't have a one true path for the game. So you're going to be able to basically move all throughout the inside of the prison in a few different ways. And, we're hoping that, even though it's a single-player game, people are going to want to replay it to try and see what those differences are for the difference of completion order.
Is there anything in particular about the 3DS version that you think sets it apart? Anything that you particularly like about that version of the game?
What's really one thing that's really cool in that version of the game is that when we do the motion comics, those are 2D motion comics, but they're composited in 3D. So it's 2D elements that you see in 3D on the 3D screen, and I think that's actually a really cool thing because, again, the motion comic style that we've introduced is pretty unique to the franchise. So that's probably the coolest part of the 3D for me.
And you're using that to tell the cutscenes, right? To tell the story.
Yes. Yeah, we're telling all of our cutscenes are using motion comics because we felt that would be more appropriate for a 2.5D game, and we just thought it'd be really cool to do. Yeah.
All right, and when is this game coming out? How long do I have to wait to play it?
It is coming out October 25th, right? Yes, this year. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Looking forward to playing it.
Hi, this is Mark Morrell for Toon Barn, and I'm here at San Diego Comic-Con, and we're talking about Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate.
That's right.
And I'm here with Mark Pacini, he's the game director from Armature.
Hi, how's it going?
Great. So can you tell me what it took to pull this all together?
Oh, geez. It took a lot of effort. We're working on this game for a little under a year. We designed the game to be a Metroidvania-style game in 2.5D, so we can put as much quality as possible in this short amount of time, and I think we were able to achieve it. The game looks great. We have voice acting that was the same actors that we're using in the console version. We have motion capture animations that we're using in the console version. So the production values of this game are just off the charts for a small handheld game.
Right. So what can a typical gamer expect out of the gameplay here?
Well, we purposely tried to make Arkham feel like an Arkham game, but skew a little more old school with regards to how the game is set up as an experience. So we're not using an experience system like the console version does. We're using items that are placed throughout the world. So you have to go and find all of your abilities. So you just don't kind of grind on enemies and upgrade yourself. That was a conscious choice we made to make kind of suit the style of the game because it's a little bit smaller. The other thing we did is that normally in these sorts of games, you kind of progress through the game in a certain order, like you go fight this boss, and you go fight this boss. Oh, I'll go over here and get this pickup. Well, here, at the very beginning of the game, in Blackgate, we allow the player to go anywhere they want. So they could take on any boss they want in any order, and the ending of the game will actually change based on what bosses you take out in what order. So we're really able to, we're proud of the way it came out, and we're really excited to see how people kind of go through the game and what they do.
And every boss has lots and lots and lots of thugs, right?
Some do. Arkham bosses are different than normal, kind of side-scrolling bosses. A lot of them you climb on and you do some stuff. And the Arkham games have had that before. And every one of our bosses, what we try to do in our game is make them the gameplay in each one very distinctive, so that like if you see a screenshot of it or you're playing it, you're like, wow, that's very different than I played with this one and this one. So that was kind of the challenge is really to the Arkham universe isn't like extraordinary. It's kind of keeps itself in the realm of possibility-ish, So we had to kind of stay within those realms, which was challenging, but at the same time, I think we came up with some really cool stuff.
And how challenging would you rate this game?
As far as difficulty level? Mm-hmm. Well, normally, when we design games like this, the median difficulty level isn't that hard, except when you get to the bosses. And then when the bosses, the difficulty level kind of spikes. But it's the same sort of thing. Once you know how to beat the boss, they're kind of like, wow, how did I ever struggle on that boss before? That's the sort of game that we're making.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. This is Mark signing off from Toon Barn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
I'm so happy to be joined by Todd Keller, who is one of the founders of Armature Studios and the art director on Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. This is the handheld version of, that goes along with the release of Batman Arkham Origins on the consoles.
Yep.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
So, having looked at the game, it's gorgeous. It's very good looking, but obviously there's certain things, just because of the nature of the screen and the processing power, you can't replicate the exact same open world experience of Arkham Origins. And how would you kind of explain your treatment to the Batman game on handheld?
Well, our treatment was pretty much a collaboration between WB and us, based on our background with Metroid. We thought that it would be good to brand a new IP for the Arkham Origins game on the handhelds, and we thought this would be the way to do it. So when we got into the systems and the gameplay and started laying it out, we could see that it was going to be a pretty perfect match for that type of system.
And obviously the other two Batman Arkham games have those aspects that are quite reminiscent of Metroid, that as you find new tools,
right,
it really opens up the map. I mean, it really sounds like a perfect fit for you guys.
Yeah, it really was. I think seeing it at first, it seemed like a difficult task to do. Once you get into it, our main objectives were to get the free flow combat down, make it feel like Arkham, make the style and the look of it be like Arkham, but then introduce the new elements of the Metroidvania style of gameplay and platforming.
So the game takes place 6 months after the end of Arkham Origins, which probably means we talk too much about story. We might be kind of spoiling aspects of the other game.
I'd rather you go through the characters in that game first and see where they end up. And then, so, yeah, exactly.
But in terms of the free flow combat, because you are working on a 2D plane, let's be clear, it's a 3D game.
Yes.
But the plane you're playing on, what did you have to do? Because I got to say, it has that same flow of what you're getting in Arkham Origins or Arkham City.
Yeah, well, what we do, it is on a 2D plane for the most part, but it does have true aspects of a 3D game where it goes into the background and foreground all over the place, and we open up the levels as you get deeper into the game, so that a room or an area that you're exploring has a lot of traversal back and front, So we turn the room, we go up, up and down, we go top view, all sorts of stuff happens that sort of makes it feel more or less like a 2.5D game.
And then when it comes to the combat, I mean, I guess I would always think that free flow combat needs to have such a perfect sort of 3D space to work it in, but you really have found a way to replicate that on the smaller screen.
Yeah, I think it came out pretty well. It obviously gets more complex once you get more thugs and more types of thugs on screen, but I think it works better like that. When you're trying to think about armored thugs or knife thugs or anything like that, especially throughout the different boss classes, it kind of comes together in the environment that we created. And then
obviously the other aspects of the gameplay, be it sort of stealth, how have you had to sort of adjust that aspect of the Batman gameplay for the Vita and the 3DS?
That was probably the biggest challenge, is the Predator modes, and getting that feeling of you're a detective and you're figuring out your paths and the way to get through the level. What we had to do was adjust a lot of the camera views and make them particular to how you would find out what you're looking for in the level and how you take down thugs and all.
And then with the detective mode, it's quite clever the way that you incorporate the touchscreen. I mean, how long did it sort of take to go like, hold on, we have fingers, we can just go looking around the space just by pointing at it.
The detective mode is so cool in all the Arkham games. It was fun for us to just incorporate it the way we did it. It was a natural fit for the touchscreen, honestly, just to figure out to hold down and scrub the screen looking for secret items. Plus, it's a neat little nifty mini-game thing to do to find little things that connect to each other, too.
And then it sounds like, as with both Metroid games and with Batman games, that as you get sort of new devices, you'll be doing some backtracking. So that thing you saw earlier that you really wanted to learn about, you may have to wait later in the game and go back and find all the goodies.
Yeah, definitely. There is a lot of very classic Metroid-style retraversal in a fun way, where you're finding out about items that you can't get quite yet, but then you get other items based on your skill level or what you've done in the game to come back and achieve those earlier goals.
Well, Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, it comes out alongside the console release of the game, correct?
Same day and date, yep.
Yep, and it's 3DS and PlayStation Vita.
That's right.
All right, well, thank you so much for your time, Todd.
Thank you for having me.
Arkham Origins Blackgate takes place 3 months after the events of the console. As you saw when you played, your game starts chasing Catwoman on the rooftops of Gotham. It's actually the first time in the Arkham timeline that Batman meets Catwoman. Basically, after all that, a riot breaks out of Blackgate prison. People take control, and you're sort of going on Metroidvania 2.5D adventure from there, taking them all out.
Yeah, I did play the game, and it's amazing. What kind of things is different for it comes out for the PS Vita as well as the Nintendo 3DS? Yep. Okay. So what's different from that compared to the console?
We've redone the fighting system and such, for the Vita. We simplified it with having less buttons, things like that. But between the Vita and the 3DS, it's the same gameplay, but the Vita has some more touchscreen controls for protective mode, and it's got a larger screen. And then the 3DS has it's in 3D, which also means there's motion comics, which are the cinematic style. You actually composite it in 3D, which is really awesome. And then we've got a map on the bottom screen, which comes in really handy in the prison. So, yeah. But the gameplay itself between the two are the same. Like I said, it's a 2.5D game on here versus the full 3D in the boxes.
Can you tell us that there any will we get any DLCs or some skins?
So I don't think we've talked anything about DLC, but there are skins that you can actually get in the game. New bat suits. Yeah, so you can get new bat suits in the game, and they actually, and then the bat suits actually change. They have gameplay implications, so it's not just cosmetic.
What about gadgets?
The gadgets, yeah, we have some of the familiar gadgets. We have some new gadgets. One of our new gadgets is actually a gel launcher, because the camera's out all the time, and the old explosive gel he'd be a spray. So we thought it'd be more fun to use something like the breaching gun that he had in Dark Knight. Yeah, where it's like that, yeah. And so we actually have that as our gel launcher in our game, which is one of our cool new gadgets.
That's awesome. Another thing for the, I don't know if you know, but for the Nintendo 3DS version, are there like anything like coming out to play the game? Like I know there's like a scene like when you ride or something. Is all the gameplay in 3D?
Yeah, all the gameplay is 3D. It's actually pretty cool because, with the view of the game, especially like in the Gotham area you just played, the 3D really helps kind of ground everything, and it just actually looks really nice, especially going sideways. We don't do too many gimmicky things with the 3D coming at you or anything.
Right, like movies, no, like the comic movies.
Yeah, we don't have like a dandelion squeeze coming at you on the screen or anything like that. But the 3D does actually look really, really nice in the game.
Awesome. Well, that's all my questions. And you can actually pick up the game comes out.
Day and date with the console version on October 25th.
October 25th.
Yep.
Great. And that's it, guys. This is going to be for us. We're walking around Comic-Con. And got a lot more stuff coming up for you guys. So stay tuned. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Republic City.
Republic City.
I really hope not. Hello there, I'm Jordan Cameron for Black Man and Robin, and I've got a very special fellow with me today. Sir, might I ask your name?
I'm Eric Weiss with Armature Studios.
Oh, very nice. Now, what game are you guys making?
We made Batman Origins Blackgate. Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate.
Nice. We've been looking forward to this one. So this is the latest in the Batman Arkham series. So can you tell us a bit about the game?
Well, this is the first handheld in the Arkham series, and it takes place after the console version of Arkham Origins, so it's 3 months after, but that puts it in a timeline before Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. And it's a 2.5D Metroidvania style game.
Oh, that sounds very fun. I've always loved Metroidvanias. So, can you tell us a bit, now is the gameplay like traditional Batman Arkham beat 'em up type style?
Yeah, what we've done is we've kind of adapted the free-flowing combat and the Predator stealth stuff to a 2.5D plane, so it's a little bit different, but everyone says that it feels pretty similar.
Oh, very good. So when's this game coming out?
October 25th.
Very nice. I'm looking forward to this one. Now, might I ask, what's your role on the team?
I'm a game designer.
Oh, very nice. So, are you the guy who builds levels?
We're a smaller studio, so game designers tend to do levels, combat, writing, design, all of it.
Oh, sweet. So, now you said now are you responsible for doing any writing?
A little bit.
Oh, nice. So what's the story like? Can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give away too much, but like I said, it's It's 3 months after Arkham, and there's a large explosion in Blackgate prison, and then riots break out. And basically, Batman goes in to try to settle everything down before it gets worse.
Well, that definitely sounds like plenty of fun. So now you say it's a 2.5D Metroidvania, but does it retain like the open world element, or is it more linear?
No, it's not. So once you get into the prison, there's 3 bosses, and you can pursue them in any order. You can even double back. You'll get gadgets, which will allow you to secret areas and critical path areas later on. So there's a lot of jumping around and backtracking.
Oh, very cool. So now I have to ask this very personal question. What's your favorite part of game design?
I think it's just getting to make fun. That's real, but that's what I do. I make things that are fun.
Well, it's a very good answer. Now I have to ask you another personal question. What's your favorite game? What's your favorite game of all time?
It's hard to narrow it down to one. I mean, it depends on the mood, really. So, I don't know. I mean,
give us a few. A couple of your favorites.
Well, so Civilization 5, the Battlefield series, Bard's Tale, very old school Bard's Tale, anything Elder Scrolls.
Oh, nice. All right.
Like I said, it all depends on what mood and what you're looking for.
Sweet. Now, suppose the folks on home want to follow you on Twitter. How can they do that?
I do believe Armature has a Twitter feed. Okay. I think it's Armature Studios.
Armature Studios. Very nice. How would you spell that?
Yeah. ARMUTURE.
Very nice. Well, folks at home, follow Armature Studios on Twitter. Dan, it's been a pleasure talking with you.
Okay.
What do we know? There was an explosion at Blackgate about 6 hours ago. They think maybe an escape attempt went bad. How many hostages? The entire prison staff. Batman. They're all in there, from petty thieves to the worst of the worst. And almost every one of them has a grudge against you. Then they're about to get their shot.
Hello, valued guest!
This is shaping up to be a long night.
So let's spend it together.
What do we know? There was an explosion at Blackgate about 6 hours ago. They think maybe an escape attempt went bad. How many hostages? The entire prison staff. Batman. They're all in there, from petty thieves to the worst of the worst. And almost every one of them has a grudge against you. Then they're about to get their shot.
Hello, valued guest!
This is shaping up to be a long night.
So let's spend it together.